Hey guys, this is Mr. V over here doing a book review today for The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Before I get into my book review, you guys should know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review. So if you see me looking down occasionally, I just have some notes so I don't give any spoilers away. So anyway, let's go on with The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. So the basic premise of this book is just about a scientist. He's a time traveler. He thinks he has invented a machine, a time traveling machine, and he finally does it, and he travels 800,000 years into the future, and it's just his first-hand account on what life is like in the year 800,000, or just a little bit above. So, first thing you guys should know before reading this book is that actually, this is actually a pretty short book. It's a novella, I would call it. It's about 100 pages. So, it's not too bad, but it was released in 1895. So the language is slightly different, but still, it's not too difficult to comprehend. But I would say that this book was actually pretty well written. I think H.G. Wells did a good job, but be prepared for things to be very fast moving, as it's a shorter book and a lot happens in that time. So just be prepared for it to be very fast moving, because the beginning starts already in the middle of a discussion with multiple scientists and people around. And it's the time traveler who will be traveling into the future. They just call him the time traveler. He is already in the discussion about time travel with a bunch of people. So, there's really no background on any of the characters, and realistically, there's no description on any of the characters either. That was one thing I did not like. While I thought it was well written, I didn't like that there wasn't any descriptions or backgrounds on the character. But, it's a shorter book, so, I was fine with it. And so the time traveler, he does travel about 800,000 years into the future, and he goes by himself. And I thought that H.G. Wells did a great job of writing it in terms of he explains time travel very well, that you can almost like visualize it. And it's kind of like the style that you see in the movies. Maybe it's because I've seen enough of those type of movies where you visualize it. But the way H.G. Wells writes it is just that you can really visualize, and you just get the sense of time travel. It's hard to explain. But, I thought that it was very well written in those regards. But this book was also a lot of fun because there was a lot of fun, time travel questions, I would say. Even in the book, he describes where it's like, if he stops and something is there, would he explode? Like if he stops his machine and there was like a building was erected later, would he all of a sudden explode? Would he die? How will he stop the time machine? Because what will happen? And what if, as he's going into the future, he's wondering, what if the future is dangerous? What if there is no food? Are there going to be humans, when he's traveling, especially so many hundred thousands of years in the future? It's like, what if it is very dangerous? What if there is no food? And that's why I said it's just a lot of fun questions. And in the book, the time traveler, he talks about his time in the future. It was supposed to be the year 800 and 2000 or something like that, but it was supposed to be, I think, London 800,000 years later. And the time traveler just explains his discoveries and his time in the future. And I can't really expose too much without giving spoilers, but he just explains a lot of what's going on, what are the animals or the creatures like, what is the food like, and there's a lot more mystery than you would think when doing it, because he's discovering new things and you continue to wonder, okay, what is going to happen? Oh, he discovered this specific type of possible food, what will happen? Or discovers this possible area, okay, what will happen in those regards? So there is a lot of kind of fun mystery, and even though it's not literally written as a question on the page, it does make you think of these types of questions. So it is a lot of fun. And I would say that towards the end, he gives a lot more suspense towards the end. I would say the last 20%, maybe the last 20, 25 pages, there's a lot more suspense than in the first 70 pages. But one thing about the end, I should say, is that towards the very end, I would say the last maybe in the last 10 pages, there was a couple of 2 or 3 pages to me which were a little confusing and a little drawn out, but it was okay. It was just a little bit confusing, and then you see what he is saying. But overall, I thought this had a very good end. I still really enjoyed the end overall, and I thought the last 2 to 3 pages were great. Like, I enjoyed the end, and I thought it had a good end, but I thought the last 2 or 3 pages were like great, and then it had an amazing last line. So it was like it kept building, like a good end, then an even greater like final, and then the absolute last line was amazing. I really thought that was great. So and overall, I enjoyed this book because I think even though it's a very short book, I like the theme of the book more. I mean, everyone always knows about time travel, things like that, and that's always fun. But the theme of the book is great in terms of like, what is the future going to hold? If you could travel hundreds of thousands of years into the future, would you want to? What will happen? If we look back through history, look how there's been animals that have gone extinct, different ages, all that. So would you want to travel into the future? And it's like, but there's more themes in there that I cannot expose, but the themes make you think a lot. And they make you think about the current state and the future state. And the meaning is debatable, because I've read different things online about like what people feel the overall arching theme is. But, I just think the overall theme, and after you read the whole book, it is just a great theme overall. So, I recommend that you guys go and get this book. But right now I'm going to give it my official rating. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10. A 0 is an awful book, a 5 is an average, and a 10 is phenomenal. If it gets a 10, that should be your next read type of phenomenal. Because again, a 5 is average, and I'm a tough critic. If you go back and look at some of my other book reviews, you'll see I'm a very tough critic, that it's hard to move up even 0.5 in my rating system. So, for the book, The Time Machine, I'm going to rate this book a 6.5, which is, in my rating system, pretty good. And that means you guys should go and read it. The reason I rated it a 6.5 is, overall, I thought it was, I said, a great theme, and I liked it. And I thought that for most of the book, I thought that it was about a 6, but the very end, and then like just the thinking back about what the whole story meant, is like bumped it up to the 6.5 for me. And that's why, I really would recommend you guys go and read it. It won't take you long. It's about 100 pages. So I really recommend you guys go out and get this. But if you guys have any disagreements, any comments, questions, anything like that, please post it in the comments below. I hope you guys click the subscribe button. I thank you guys for watching my book review. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy your reading.